I started thinking about adoption, all these scary things. And through eventually sharing my story with people, somebody told me about an adoption consultant. And I thought, I don't know what that is. And I remember equating it to that big red easy button. I don't know, that was on a commercial maybe for Office Max or something, I don't remember. And I was like, I just need a big red easy button to help me through this. So I called this consultant, and it sounded a little almost too good to be true, but I wanted to believe it, and so I did. And I'm a very good student, and I follow directions, and I didn't want to read every book, and I didn't want to go down a rabbit hole of all the research. So I put my total trust in her. And oh, am I so glad I did.
Welcome to the Adoption Roadmap Podcast, your go-to guide through the beautiful, complex, and transformative journey of adoption. I'm Rebecca Gruenspan, a single mom through adoption consultant for over a decade, author of the Adoption Roadmap book, and your trusted guide. In each episode, we dive into real experiences, expert insights, and the raw, honest truths that you will need to navigate your journey. Whether you're just beginning, in the thick of it, or well past placement, you'll find support and community here to help you navigate this unique path with confidence and love. Adoption isn't all rainbows and butterflies. It is life-changing and worth every bit of effort. Let's learn, grow, and journey together on the Adoption Roadmap Podcast.
Hey, if you're new to me, hi, I'm Becca Gruenspan, the founder and CEO of RG Adoption Consulting. It's been a minute since I have told my story, and so if we haven't met yet, hey, I am a mom of a 13-year-old through domestic infant adoption, and I used an adoption consultant. Now, my journey started way before that. I did 26 IUIs before starting the adoption process. That's intrauterine inseminations, or as my brother-in-law used to call it, basting. So I spent hours and hours online on sperm banks, making sure I had the right cryobank, is that what they're called? And picking the right sperm that would be a good fit for me, for a possible baby. I was living in Chicago at the time, and started at what I thought was the best fertility doctor. And I remember going and sitting in those waiting rooms month after month after month. And my fertility doctor did 2 inseminations per month. So I did 13 months in a row. That's why it was 26. I remember sitting in those waiting rooms where it was packed, but nobody would look at each other. Everybody was looking down, was looking sad. Some people were with their husbands, some people were alone, and everybody knew what we were there to do, yet nobody wanted to talk about it. It was as if we were all living in shame. I don't know if you can relate, but it was awful. I hated going. And I lived month to month with, what are my numbers? What are my numbers? What are my numbers? You know, having to go for blood. I've never had so many blood tests in my life. So I did that. And then after many months, my doctor basically said, you have about a 10% chance of this working. And he gave me the choice of IVF. And IVF is super invasive and scary a little bit. And I went for another opinion to another doctor that was like an hour away. And I did this like a number of times because each new doctor has to take their own set of blood tests and figure out what they can do for you. And I remember this other doctor saying, I hate to agree with my competitors in the city, but I do. Now we can do it, and we can do every single test possible to mankind that there is. or not. And I made that hour drive home, crying and crying and crying and crying, just thinking to myself, I'm never going to have that opportunity to carry a baby inside of me like most women in the world do. I have been robbed of that opportunity. And that to me was probably one of the worst things I could learn as a woman, as somebody who knows that I was meant to be a mom and that I wanted that experience that women get to carry a baby and feel life inside of her. And I knew that that wasn't the way I was going to become a mom after those 13 months of back-to-back inseminations and blood tests and waiting for the calls. By the way, backing up, after my very first month with just Clomid and not IUI, I took a pregnancy test and it was positive. And I felt like I could feel the baby kick already, which is just ludicrous because you can't that early. Not kick, but move. I mean, I wasn't that crazy. And it was a false positive. And so it gave me like this false sense of hope. Anyways, on my way back, on that drive back, I thought, okay, let me try adoption. But in my head, adoption was this big, scary thing that I would have to have a certain kind of a baby from a certain type of birth mom that really scared me. And that what happens if the baby wants to go, and this was my mentality at the time because I didn't know much about adoption. What if they wanted to go find their real parents, right? This was my mentality. I've learned so much along the way. It was scary. And that, I just kept thinking to myself, and I've never said this out loud, but these were my true thoughts. Am I going to have a crack baby? That was my thought. And by the way, there's nothing wrong with that. I don't know if they call it crack anymore. Maybe. After that morning my loss of not being able to be pregnant or thinking my chance is so small, do I really want to put myself through that? I started thinking about adoption, all these scary things. And through eventually sharing my story with people, somebody told me about an adoption consultant. And I thought, I don't know what that is. And I remember equating it to the big red easy button. I don't know, that was on a commercial maybe for Office Max or something. I don't remember. And I was like, I just need a big red easy button to help me through this. I can't even pick out a shirt by myself at a store. How am I going to find the right adoption agency? So I called this consultant, and it sounded a little almost too good to be true, but I wanted to believe it. And so I did. And I'm a very good student, and I follow directions, and I didn't want to read every book, and I didn't want to go down a rabbit hole of all the research. So I put my total trust in her. And oh, am I so glad I did. 9 months to the day that I started with my consultant, I had my baby in my arms. Now, this was 13 years ago. It's a different world. There he is. that was one of the first times he was in my arms. After I adopted, and it wasn't a perfect journey by any means, but it was quick and perfect for me and scary. And I was putting my trust in the universe, and I knew so little. And I wasn't taught that much about what it means to be an adoptive parent, only about the process, which is something we try to incorporate now into our teachings. And ultimately, that's the way I became a mom. I remember I got chosen and got that call at a time when my consultant was on vacation. And I said yes to the match, and then I started second guessing myself. What did I say yes to? I think this is a risk. I think this is a risky situation. Is this going to be the right one for me? Oh my God, I'm scared. I'm this, I'm that. I was actually doing a one-woman show, like a cabaret show in Chicago at the time, because I sing. And I thought, do I need to cancel my shows? She's going to be due quickly. And I didn't. I announced it during the show that I was hoping to become a mom soon through adoption, and that if I did, my baby was going to be due a month from when my show ended. And I did. I became a mom through adoption, and I was, I don't know, lucky. I think there is a lot of luck in adoption. I think being with the right agency at the right time, with the right expectant mom that chooses you, a lot of it is just luck. Being at the right place at the right time. There's a lot more that goes into it, but I do feel that way. And after I adopted, I became a magnet to people that watched my journey. People watch you, even when you don't think they are, and asked me, how did you do that so quickly? And I said, listen, if you are going through the journey of adoption, you have to use a consultant. I will not let you do this alone. It is too overwhelming. There's too much to know. There are too many questions you're going to have, and you're going to need guidance and support. That is something that has not changed to this day. I truly, truly believe nobody should do this journey without somebody totally there in their corner to be there to support them and only them, right? The hopeful adoptive parent. And it was shortly after, 2 years later, that I decided I can do this a little bit better, a little bit more, incorporating the things that I knew I needed that I didn't quite get, even though I wouldn't trade my journey for anything. It was perfect for me. And so almost 13 years later, I've had such privilege of working with hundreds and thousands, actually, of hopeful adoptive parents, many of whom I have helped build their own families. And so it's come full circle. And what I have learned, I have forwarded on, and I continue to learn. There's not a day that goes by that I don't learn. And all I want to do is take my found knowledge and my lived experience and pass that on to others. And so I've been doing that for the last 13 years, and now we are going to take it to the next level and not just work with hopeful parents, but adoptive parents as well, to support them in that same way as they navigate life. It's an honor and a privilege to do what I do every day and to be the mom of this beautiful boy. And if anything about this story relates for you, if you can relate to anything, I would love to hear from you. Our team would love to talk to you and help guide you the same way I was guided, but even better.
Well, I hope you enjoyed that episode of the Adoption Roadmap podcast. If you did, I have a few favors to ask of you. First, please hit subscribe so you never miss an episode. And while you're at it, I'd love to hear your takeaways. Please write a review and let me know what you liked. And if you have a question or a suggestion on what you'd like to hear, I'd love to hear that too. Please shoot me an email at support@rgadoptionconsulting.com and let me know what you'd like to hear about. And if you have a question, I may just answer it online. Thanks again for listening. Tune in every Wednesday and Friday morning for a brand new episode of the Adoption Roadmap podcast. Until next time, bye-bye.